Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly. Joining us today is none other than a friend and a famous member of the WebRTC community and the RTC community at large, Dan Jenkins, originally from Nimble Ape, then Everycast, and is also very well known for ClueCon, which is the topic for today. Thank you for joining us today, Dan.
Thank you, Luca. How are you?
I'm great. It's been a while, so I'm super happy to see you again, and looking
Yes.
forward to hearing everything about ComCon. But first of all, for probably the 2.5 people who don't know where you are, can you give us a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been probably in the real-time community for just over 10 years now. I started off life as a web developer who kind of got shoved into real-time. And then ever since been doing VoIP, been doing WebRTC, being the person that knew how to kind of glue those worlds together, whether or not it was like old school VoIP and whether or not it was like a real-time website like contact center or something like that, being able to kind of glue those things together. And then in the not too distant history, we kind of realized that bringing in remote people into broadcast TV or events or whatever was actually really quite difficult. And I've got to admit, the pandemic didn't really make it any easier. Everyone just kind of hacked really, really poor solutions, but they did the best that they could at the time. And so more recently, we started up a new company called Everycast Labs, and have launched a product called Broadcast Bridge, and that's designed to be able to bring remote people into production workflows in the most simple way possible. And yeah, no, that's going really well. And then we've got ComCon coming back.
Yeah, that's well, conferences coming back are a big topic of the last few months because many conferences really are coming back now, even if it's been a while. But the ClueCon was back last year, but next summer is going to be the first. I don't want to say a real ClueCon because it's not true. I mean, the first usual ClueCon.
Last year was excellent, right? But at the same time, I completely get what you're saying. Like this year is completely and utterly, people have been able to plan for it for a year, whereas last year was a bit, well, should you go, should you not go, that kind of mentality. Whereas this year, everything's just back. And so that's kind of exactly why ComCon's back as well. We felt like we couldn't do another virtual one, even if we did it like earlier on in the year. People want that real engagement, and so I'm really happy ClueCon's back. I really enjoyed last year. Really want to be there this year. We'll see whether or not I can make that happen. But yeah, ComCon's back in June in the UK.
Nice. Well, then, what's ClueCon? Sorry, we know what ClueCon is. What's this ComCon? I'm so used to speaking about ClueCon. So, what is ComCon, first of all? And
in a nutshell, ComCon is a residential event, and so everyone stays at the same hotel. I use the word we force everyone. I use the phrase we force everyone to stay in the same hotel together. We don't force everyone, but at the same time, you can't come to the conference unless you're staying in that hotel. So it's a residential event, and it's designed to give people the very best content, but also the very, very best networking experiences. So, for example, everyone arrives. So on paper, it looks like a 5-day event. Let me just go to the homepage. On paper, it looks 19th to the 23rd of June in the UK, just outside of Manchester. And so everyone immediately says, oh, it's a 5-day event. I can't be out of work for, 5 days plus the travel either side. That's a really long time. But it's not that at all. The 19th is a welcome day, and the 23rd is a leave day. The actual conference is the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. But we don't want people leaving halfway through the last day, because you actually get some of your very, very best networking on the last night, because everyone's chilled out, the event's over, everyone gets a chance to just sit, have a drink, do some activities or whatever. And so we don't want people leaving.
Mhm.
Catch a flight, right? To catch a flight
Yeah.
home or whatever. You want people to stay. And so a ComCon ticket includes that arrival day and that leaving. So yeah, in short, residential conference, 3 days of excellent content, excellent talks, excellent workshops, and excellent evening activities. Um, and yeah, evening activities equals the very, very best networking experiences. Anyone that's been to ClueCon knows that the talks are great at ClueCon, but what's the event you want to go to? You want to go and eat deep dish pizza or whatever
Mhm.
of a Friday of like a midweek, right? That's where you do your best networking, and that's where you get your long lived connections within the industry.
Yeah, Lorenzo will disagree about the deep dish pizza, but the networking is definitely there.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
being from Naples. Yeah. So, well, can you give us an example of a few things that happened in the past years so that people know
Yeah,
what's going on?
yeah. So we started ConCon. I get my years mixed up because of pandemic and virtual and everything. But we started it in 2018, and we brand new event that no one had heard of before, and I foolishly said we don't really have like any WebRTC events in Europe. We had we had a couple in the US, namely like SignalConf from Twilio, and I said we don't really have anything WebRTC centric in Europe. So let's run a conference. It can't be that hard, right? As it turns out, running a conference is really quite difficult and it's a lot of effort. But anyway, 2018, we started and had fantastic talks from people like Slack and Google. And then evening activity wise, we had like zorbing, segways, duck herding. Can you imagine?
Oh,
Can you imagine being in a line with Alison Smith, the voice of Asterisk, and partially the voice of Free Switch, um, in a line with Alison and her husband doing duck herding, like trying to herd these ducks. Um,
nice.
it's absolutely fantastic. Like I'll remember it like for the rest of my days. It was so much fun. And like I say, these are the things that cause great relationships to happen. Um, so yeah, great talks from Facebook that year, Slack, Google, all of the SFUs like Media Soup did a talk, Janus did a talk. Um, we had all of the VoIP projects as well. Second year, we had again excellent talks. But what did we do that year? Archery, segways. First year we did like owl owl petting, but it wasn't really owl petting. It was like a bird show, and there are owls there that you could kind of interact with. So just loads and loads of fun activities that don't feel like activities at all. You're just having a laugh with these people that you just met at a conference, right? And then, of course, pandemic happened,
Yeah.
and we weren't able to do it for the third year. But we put on two fantastic virtual events. We decided not to do it last year. Things got very, very busy for us, and everyone was getting just that little bit tired of virtual at that point. So we decided not to do it. And then we're back this year. So
Yeah, you
what's
can
coming up?
only do so many virtual events.
Yeah,
It's,
you could absolutely. And I think we could have done really great content for a third virtual one. But I was tired, and B, the audience were tired.
yeah, definitely.
We could have really got great content, but ultimately, if no one's really watching it and no one's really engaged, then there's no point spending the time doing it when you could do something more productive, i.e., starting to plan for ComCon 2023 in person.
Even the feeling I got last year from the last, so last year I had a virtual FOSDEM too. From the
Hmm.
community around the virtual FOSDEM, it was good. We still got together, we still got to talk to each other, etc. But let's not do another. It was the overwhelming tone
Yeah,
and the various matrix chats around the event. Like, yeah,
yeah,
this is the last one who like this.
yeah. Especially like I don't want to say the pandemic was coming to a close because it's still ongoing, right? Like it's COVID is still something that we have to kind of not worry about, but we still have to pay attention to. So I don't want to say it was over, But at the same time, we'd had 2 years of really strong like lockdowns and everything else. And then that third year, we were kind of coming in and out of lockdowns all over the world. And so everyone had kind of just got to that point of, right, I'm ready for an in-person thing. And unfortunately, all of us who run events weren't quite actually no, I think Signalwire were. Signalwire did an event. But the rest of us weren't quite ready to start saying, we'll put money into this, because ultimately you got to sell tickets to be able to put on your event. And if you don't sell enough tickets, you're going to lose money, and then you're not going to put on the event again.
And we only did one full virtual ClueCon.
Yeah.
We had a hybrid one. Then last year's was almost in person to the streaming. The good thing is that we'll keep the streaming. Like everybody I know is keeping the streaming infrastructure in place and even selling streaming tickets in some case. So that's interesting too. That's probably where Everycast sits in, right? It's streaming
exactly.
a conference is a production event.
Exactly. And you got to do it well. You've got to do it really, really well. It can't just be calling in via Zoom anymore. There's got to be real. There's got to be
or
real
YouTube and a webcam.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's history and what's happened in the past. What's happening this year at ClueCon 2023 that I can talk about. There are things that are still kind of up in the air that I can't 100% talk about. But first, early bird tickets run out and they close on the 31st of April. So within the next week and a bit from this video going out, I think.
Okay.
So
what about
you
the
haven't
call
got
for papers?
So the call for papers actually closes on the I'm getting my dates right because I'm not 100% certain when this is going out. It closes on the 21st, Friday the 21st of April.
Good. So I still have time, but I need to hurry up.
You still have time, but you got to hurry up. Exactly. So yeah, early bird tickets, 31st of April, and the call for papers is the 21st. So they're the two most important things because they are like time crunchy. But yeah, what's coming up at ClueCon? So I've put together, I'm running the ClueCon website locally because then I can show you some things that aren't on the actual website just yet. So confirmed speakers that I'm super, super happy about. I'm happy about all of them, don't get me wrong. But Jeff Pulver is going to be our first keynote that we've announced. So if you don't know who Jeff is, he was the founder of Vonage, and then he went on to organize Von, which is a very, very well-known and respected event in telephony. So he's going to join us, which I'm really, really excited about. And I saw he put in a normal submission, and I saw his title that he'd put through for this talk, and I was like, I think that's a brilliant keynote. So we went and had a chat with Jeff, and he agreed to.
Plus, just his name, I mean, is quite famous, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, we talk about people who kind of pushed forward VoIP, open source VoIP, free switch asterisk, and ultimately Jeff was one of those other people that pushed forward VoIP from a non-open source perspective, and had to deal with like the FCC and pushing those entities forward rather than the technology. He did also push forward technology, but at least in my head, he's more well known for what he did with the FCC and pushing forward VoIP back in the day. I can't imagine we're saying back in the day. So Jeff's joining us for that keynote. We've only announced one keynote so far, so the other ones are coming soon. But let's take another quick look. So this year's a little bit different for ClueCon. In the past, ClueCon has been a real-time media event, whether or not that was VoIP, whether or not that was WebRTC. This year, it's changing a little bit. And that's why there are probably some faces here that people don't recognize. So this year we are open source or open standards media, not just real-time media, but any traditional media as well. Because ultimately, these two different industries should really be the same industry, right? We should all be open source and open standards media. And it doesn't matter whether or not the media is delivered over SRT or Dash or whatever, or RTMP, or whether or not it's delivered over WebRTC or SIP with RTP, right? It doesn't matter. It's all media at the end of the day. It just depends how quickly it gets to the other end and what kind of error correction you have in the middle. So for all the time that I've been in this industry, you've had these traditional media people going, oh, well, real time's like, 3 to 5 seconds, or maybe even 2 to 3 seconds. And then you've got us real time people going, real time's like, 20 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. As soon as you're talking about seconds, it's no longer real time, right? So we've kind of been at each other for the past however many years, but the pandemic really kind of started kind of forcing us to kind of look at each other a lot, right? More over the top media stuff for sports and things are bringing in real time stuff, and us doing real time stuff, we're bringing in some more kind of not traditional media delivery alongside real time, and we're kind of really starting to merge those two worlds together. And so ClueCon 2023 is about open media and open standards media. And so we've got real time, and then we've got non-real time as well. And that's why you've got names here that you don't necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily know straight away. So we've got people from Bloomberg, we've got Tim Panton from Pipe, Jared Smith from Mux. Jared Smith is in one of those ideal positions to talk about exactly what ConCon is about. He used to be in telecoms, and now he's at Mux, which is a traditional media company, and they're getting into real-time media. And so he's able to kind of talk about, and his talk is about merging all of these worlds together. So I'm really excited about Jared's talk. We've got Maya from Sipgate, Sandro from Enable Security. Sandro's talk is going to be really, really interesting. He's not just going to talk about telecoms and WebRTC and SIP with RTP, but he's going to start looking at things like SRT as well, and the security mechanisms that you need to start thinking about for these other types of media delivery.
Yeah, because SRT isn't, I mean, it's secure, but not exactly. There's
so
a lot of work.
SRT doesn't have to be secure, right? SRT, if people don't know, then SRT is just another mechanism to be able to deliver media from A to B. But and I think the default is now for it to be secure. I think off the top of my head, but it doesn't have to be. You can actually disable the security mechanism in it, and so I'm really looking forward to Sandro's talk about that. Javi from Touchstream, he's going to be talking about the CDN logs. So another world that not many people have actually from kind of this space that we're in right now. Not many people kind of care about, but CDN logs play a real part in being able to deliver media well. And then we've got Mira from Zoipa and Bonafo, Saul from 8x8, Corey from Veneto. Oh, look, there's me. Lorenzo from the Meet Echo and Janice team. Garrett Graves. Garrett is going to be talking about AI and integrating AI models.
Nice.
In with real-time media.
That's a hot topic for sure.
Very, very hot topic. And his talk description talks about essentially creating Jarvis from the movies, and essentially being able to talk in real time and be able to get real life stuff as well as like all the metadata that goes along with it. Not just speaking back at you, but being able to go, oh, here's that link that's about the thing that we're talking about. Here's that link that goes with it, and then you could screen pop it or whatever. I don't know if that's in his talk, but this is the kind of stuff that we could do today using these language models and OpenAI stuff that's kind of just completely and utterly exploded in the past year.
But yeah,
So I'm really, really excited about this talk as well. So that's Garrett. Dave Horton. Dave Horton's a huge supporter of ComCon with the Jam Bones project. He's going to do a workshop, which I'm really excited about. Rennan's from Cloudflare, and he'll be talking about how they use Anycast. So another topic that like a lot of people within this space will have heard about. I know there's definitely been talks about Anycast at ClueCon in the past.
we use Anycast internally.
Yeah,
A lot of it.
but a lot of people don't really truly understand it, right? They don't understand like the complexities of handling media over Anycast. We all kind of get what Anycast is, but the actual complexities involved in taking media via Anycast and handling it in this kind of stateful or non-stateful way is really, really, really interesting. So he's from Cloudflare. He's going to be talking about how they do it at Cloudflare.
I leave all of that to my friends in DevOps. I barely know how it works. Actually, I know what it is.
I kind of get it, like because I've had to talk about it so much, but at the same time, I've never gone and like implemented it from scratch up to something that truly works. And so, being able to hear these stories from key within how the internet gets delivered today. I don't know what the statistic is, but Cloudflare ultimately traverses a huge amount of the internet today, and so being able to get those insights from a team such as Rennan's is hugely vital. And then we've got the Element team as well, Matthew and Dave Baker. These aren't all of the speakers. These are all of the confirmed ones. And then, like I say, our CFP is closing on Friday the 21st, at which point we'll be finalizing the rest of the talks.
So I can't help but notice, and this is something I'm thinking about, there is nothing about 5G edge deployments here and what you can do with them. And
there is not. There is not.
I happen to have extensive experience on deploying on AWS wavelength.
You can have as extensive experience as you like, Luca, but unless you put in a submission into the CFP, I can't accept it. So I'll be waiting with all of my being for that submission from you.
So let's just do it. I mean, it feels like it's a very good fit because, frankly, without going into it, all the distribution aspects like SRT, even just CDNs in general, etc. We've done a lot of work on reducing latency by caching at the edge or running applications there. And there's a lot you can just run yourself. Unfortunately, if you are in the US, mostly because you need to be on wavelength, but to make it easy, then you can do it other ways. But so there might not be a CFP coming in.
5G is hugely interesting, and not just to us, right? Not just to us who are real time hardcore people. It's also interesting to open media type people with over the top media and everything, because we want to be able to take greater control of our networks. And so even if you deployed, what's a really great example? If you deployed your own 5G network at Stadium, and then you were able to take complete control, because Wi-Fi is really like not a great experience in those kind of areas, right? 5G is actually much, much better. And so if you could take control of that entire network and be able to take that media stream from an edge, whether or not it's real time or whether or not an edge within that stadium, whether or not it's real time or not, everyone's going to get a much, much better experience just by enabling open 5G, etc. So it's hugely interesting, and not just to real time people.
And to who else that's interesting? I was just reading an MWC. I signed to the MWC newsletter because they sign you up when you go there. And the first notice today was that Ericsson is expecting to yet another good quarter backed by the sales of 5G equipment. For now, the makers of 5G equipment have behaved as the owners of a casino. They're the only ones making money off 5G at the moment. Yeah. And before people stop buying 5G equipment, the companies need to find a way to monetize. And frankly, it's a little bit faster than 4G. Hasn't got it yet.
Yeah.
It is a little bit faster. Great.
There has to be real pros, and some of those real pros are things that that companies out there are doing, are starting to enable by bringing content closer to people.
Well, if you could just move
network.
less bytes when you're just doing video distribution, like Evercast or SRT in general, etc. If you could just move less bytes, but leaving some of that in the edge, you're saving real money, and that's at least. Plus, it's quicker, and
better for the environment. You're not just sending a load of data out and back in. You can kind of handle it all inside your own private area network. Essentially, it is a fantastically interesting topic that again hasn't really been talked about well enough yet for everyone to go.
It's hard to get access.
The
real problem is it is very hard to get access for testing. Unless you have your own private network, you need to effectively be partners with Verizon or whatever in the US or someone in Europe that will let you do things. And it's not super easy to get access to it. So, well, let's think about it.
Yes.
So back to the topic.
Absolutely. Yeah, back to
outside of talks. What do you do? Play Jenga,
fantastic talks,
drink,
and then me. So what am I going to talk about? I'm not 100% certain yet, to be perfectly honest. but it's ultimately my conference. And well, actually no, it's not just my conference anymore. Let me just go to the team. So it's not just me anymore. There is a wider team around me, which is fantastic. So we've got Alana, we've got Marco and Ellie now. And so ultimately in the past, we've kind of run it with me, plus like people that come in and help for like run the event or whatever. But the whole team has now expanded, and there's now 4 of us, and we're looking for a 5th. We're looking for a software engineer to come and join us. So that's the team. And then sponsors was the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So we've got Element back as platinum, which I'm hugely thankful for. They are really driving forward just general security and general like being good people within the internet, right? And so I'm really happy that Element are back sponsoring. And then Mux have come on board, and so Mux run the Demuxed conference, and
right.
Demuxed is about traditional media with a little bit of real time. So it's kind of like, but ultimately they put the same kind of emphasis on networking that we do, and not selling mailing lists and whatever else. So we're a very good fit with one another, and they're more traditional and we're more real time, but we're both trying to do the same thing. And so Demuxed is in the US, and then ComCon's in Europe. So Mux are a brilliant bunch of people, and Jared's talking from Mux, and there'll be people from Mux there as well. And then silver sponsors SIPGate and SIPFront. So SIPGate has sponsored before, SIPFront haven't. So SIPFront are new to the roster. And then community sponsors, I always say I really love platinum, gold, and silver sponsors, because essentially they make the conference happen, right? Ultimately, you need money to run an event, but community sponsors are the best, because essentially they're giving you money just to help out. They're not expecting anything in return. They just want to help you out and give you money to make stuff happen. And so we've got Toulouse, Jambones, Pion, Veneto, and Benato. But there's still time to sponsor if you would like to. So at the bottom of this, there's a become a sponsor, and it will tell you how to sponsor in the packages that are available.
Absolutely.
So speakers, and then schedule very quickly on schedule, because we haven't really announced any schedule yet because the call for papers
Yeah,
is
the
still
website just says talks, talks, talks.
talks. But the most important thing is there is a boatload of time just assigned to networking and activities. Like, ultimately, what do you want to do at the end of your day? You've spent all day inside listening to fantastic content. What do you want to do? You want to go and eat dinner. You don't want to. I mean, this is a huge pro to coming to ClueCon, right? What do we all do at the end of a conference day? Oh, where do you want to go for dinner, Luca? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
What about this place? Oh, what about this place? Well, at ClueCon, you don't have a choice. You have to go to the restaurant, and you would have already picked out your meals that you're going to have. And so you sit at a table, have fantastic conversation with whoever's on the table with you, and then after you've eaten, we go and do whatever we're doing this year for activities. We're not doing duck herding, and we're not doing segways. We're doing different stuff that I hope everyone will love. I will just say it's very British. I always like to do British things for our activities. A little bit different, right? So we've got loads of great activities for the whole week, and then so Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday we've got activities at the hotel. I'll let you into a little sneaky thing that no one else knows yet. We're going to go and do a road trip on Wednesday.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I'm not going to tell you where we're going to go yet because I think it's more fun if you don't know. But we're going to leave the hotel. We're going to take a coach. We're going to go on a road trip somewhere. And we're going to spend the evening somewhere having fun. So again, very, very, very British, a British experience. So no, I'm hoping it will be really, really, really great fun. And the most important thing for me is not the content, because ultimately the content gets renewed every year, right? Like we always have the best speakers, whether or not it's ClueCon, whether or not it's ComCon, whether or not it's Camellia World. Camellia World's happening in June. Whether or not it's Open SIP Summit, whether or not it's Astricon. Well, I mean, less said about Astricon, the better.
Well, Astricon, we all
I
know
I
and
didn't.
love, and it's gone.
We all love the Astricon of past. So I hope we'll see an Astricon of the past again. But no, we all have great speakers because we've got some great talent within the industry, right? I'm not saying we have the best speakers, because we all get great speakers from all of our relevant fields. But I really truly believe that one of the things that ComCon does really, really, really well is giving people those experiences that you don't forget, and that means that you end up with a lifelong relationship with someone within the industry that you would never have had that relationship with if it wasn't for the fact that when you went down in the morning and had breakfast, you knew the person sitting next to you was at the conference. And so you start talking to them, and then you go, oh, I know you, or, oh, I didn't know you, but I know kind of the company that you work for. And like, we would never have chatted in the morning over breakfast if it wasn't this residential feel that enables everyone to just go, you're at the conference because you're here, because we've got the whole hotel to ourselves. There is no one else there other than us. So it just generates these really, really long-lasting, great relationships that live for years and years and years to come.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's going to be a great conference. Go sign up. The early bird ends April 30th.
April 31st. So pricing is £1,200 for early bird and £1,600 for standard. And again, people might say, that's a lot of money for a ticket to a conference. But remember, it includes your hotel room, and it includes all of your meals while you're there and all of the activities. The only thing you have to pay for when you're there is your bar bill and room service, pretty much. Everything else we include, we cover, and we look after you.
So
So
yeah,
£1,200 early bird, £1,600 standard. So there's a good £400 saving by booking by before the end of April.
good. Well, I mean, go sign up. Go go to go to Comic Con. I'll try and actually I'll see if I can make it. I need to figure out a couple. I need to figure out a couple logistics things, but I'm still on time. So worst case, I'll be attending. Nothing else.
Yes. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
well, again, Dan, thank you so much. I mean, it's for organizing this. I know it's a lot of work. You got help now, so but the first edition was you and just you.
No, thank you very
And
much for
for
having me.
And well, for everybody else, well, first of all, thank you, Dan Jenkins from Everycast, from ComCon and Nimble Ape. Go look at comcon.xyz is the domain and join us there. I'll be there and I'll make it happen. A lot of interesting people and talks are going to happen there. I'm going to have a lot of fun. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And for the rest of the people, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.